Hi guys, this is quite an unusual video for me, but I wanted to briefly share my thoughts on the whole Giacomo Turra situation. For those of you who don't know the guy, Giacomo Turra is an Italian guitar player who quickly rose to fame during the COVID days by posting these really great videos of him playing funky guitar tunes. And I have to say I was really impressed by the guy and quickly started following him on social media too. I even attended one of his concerts last year, more on that later. Anyways, now Giacomo Turra is the talk of the town, as he's being accused by the music community of using compositions from other musicians and promoting them as his own. This guy Danny Sapko made a video in which he compares some of the original tunes to those in Giacomo's videos. Check out the link in the description. And it's quite shocking to say the least. Because in those videos, Giacomo really seems to be ripping off other artists, even though he's a very talented musician who probably deserves some credit for making these really elaborate music videos. And I'm not making this video to call out Giacomo for allegedly copying these songs note for note. No, I'm here to talk about another thing. Because the whole problem with people like Giacomo Turra is much more deeply rooted than this. You see, the problem with people like Giacomo Turra is that they are great performers, but not great creators. Let me explain this. So, a guy like Giacomo Turra basically checks off all the boxes. He's technically proficient, he has the groove to go along with his technique, and he's done some very high quality and entertaining videos where he's showcasing all these skills. But, even though he claims to be fully self-taught, he seems to tackle his music like a schooled musician. Because apparently he takes compositions of others, he then writes them out like a pro, and then painstakingly rehearses them and records them in the best possible quality. And as is often the case with schooled musicians, they can virtually play everything that's out there. But, and here's the big problem, they can't seem to come up with their own stuff. And this seems to be the curse that haunts many schooled musicians. And probably because of that mindset, it's easier for them to just copy stuff from other musicians without ever really making it their own. Now, at the other side of the spectrum are guys like Paul McCartney and John Lennon. Guys who never really learned how to read notes or anything, but guys who had these musical epiphanies that led to some of the most original songs out there. In the words of Paul McCartney himself, good artists copy, great artists steal. And by stealing, he obviously means taking things from others and making it your own. And this is obviously something that Giacomo hasn't quite mastered yet.
But hopefully, he has learned his lesson now.
The thing I'm trying to say is that people like Giacomo are great players, but they're not great creators. Because I guess it takes a different kind of mindset. I once did a vocal performance with one of the best cover bands out there. And the keyboard player, a professionally schooled musician, asked me what I did. So I told him I mainly wrote my own songs and rarely played any covers. Ah, he said, so you're a composer. I didn't feel like a composer at that point, but I guess he was right. I did compose my own music, and I've been doing so for many years. Then he admitted to me that he only played in these cover bands. It's my strength, he said. I'm terrible at writing songs myself. And that made me realize all the more that there is a difference between the two. And even though my first songs probably sucked balls, after a while I started getting better and better at it. And I'm still getting better, I think. Anyway, in 2024, I went to see Giacomo Turra perform live with his band in Amsterdam. It was a great concert where he mostly played covers. And obviously he and his band played them very well, almost to perfection. But here's the kicker. Nearing the end of their set, they started playing a few of their own songs. And they kinda sucked in contrast to those classic bangers. And it was at that moment that I realized that he was more of a performer and not really a creator.
Yeah, maybe of videos, that is.
And this isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, some of the most amazing performances out there were songs that were covers. A lot of really great bands started out playing covers before writing their own music. But I guess you had to start somewhere. And the more you try to copy others, the less likely it is that you'll develop your own signature songwriting style. And I guess that's all I had to say about that. Peace out.